Hello, my dears, and welcome to Seniors Vitality Hub, the place where we talk about staying strong, sharp, and full of life after 65. Today, we're diving into something that seems small, but it could change your energy, your memory, even your happiness. We're talking about nuts. Yes, nuts, but not just any kind. There are 4 nuts you must eat, and 4 you should never touch. Especially after the age of 65, some of these can boost your energy like a morning walk by the sea. Others, they quietly wear down your joints, your heart even, your sleep, and most people don't even know it. But before we begin, I'd love to know. How old are you? And where are you watching from? Leave a comment down below. It warms my heart to know we're all in this together, from every corner of the world. All right, let me tell you a little story. Her name was Dorothy. She was 74. When she walked into my little clinic on a rainy Tuesday morning, I remember she wore a red raincoat and a hat with daisies on it, cheerful, but her eyes, they looked tired. She sat down and said, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm not sick, but I'm not well either. I can't remember why I walk into rooms. My knees ache. I feel slow, fuzzy, like a fog is living inside me." Now, Dorothy wasn't alone. I've heard this story many times, so I asked her the simplest question, "What do you eat for breakfast?" She smiled and said, "Oh, toast, some jam tea, and maybe a cookie." Then I asked, "Do you ever eat nuts?" And she laughed. "I'm not a squirrel, doctor." Well, maybe squirrels are onto something. You see, when we get older, we don't need more food, we need smarter food. Our hearts get slower, our muscles shrink. Our minds, they can get cloudy. But what we eat every day, that's the fuel we give our body to work with. Nuts, they may look small and boring, but they're like nature's tiny treasure chests. Inside, they carry energy, protection, and strength. And no, you don't have to eat a bowl of them like a bird. Just a few. Every morning, I asked Dorothy to try something new. Not pills, not powders, just a small handful of special nuts, every single morning. With her tea, she promised she would. 3 weeks passed. She came back, this time with her daisy hat tilted, sideways and a skip in her step. I'll never forget what she said. "Doc, I remembered my grandson's birthday. I even went for a walk yesterday. I feel like I woke up from a long nap, and that is why I'm here talking to you now, because I want you to feel that way too. More awake, more alive, more you. Let me tell you something. Not all nuts are your friends. Some help a lot. Others, they can be heavy, oily, even dangerous, if eaten too often. But today we'll focus on the good ones, the heroes, the 4 nuts that can gently clear your memory, like wiping fog from a mirror. Give your tired bones a little comfort. Help your heart beat steady like a drum, and bring back the kind of energy that makes you want to open the window and breathe in the morning air. You don't need to eat a mountain of them, just a few each. Day with joy. And if you're thinking, "But Doc, I have trouble chewing," don't worry. I'll show you soft versions, gentle tips, even nut butters that are easier on the teeth. We'll walk through it slowly. This isn't about being 20. Again, this is about being strong enough to laugh with your neighbor, clear enough to remember where your glasses are, calm enough to sleep through the night without worry. You deserve that, so stay with me. I'll guide you through each nut, which to eat, when to eat it, how to make it part of your day. There was something about Harold that reminded me of an old book, thick, well-read, worn at the edges, but full of stories worth listening to. He was 79, retired schoolteacher, always wore a brown wool vest, and carried a pocket watch that no longer worked. He came in one Wednesday morning, same time every month, never late. That day, though, something was different. He looked like he'd forgotten something important, but couldn't remember what. He didn't complain much. That wasn't his way. But when I asked how he was, he simply said, "The words are starting to go." He didn't mean all words, just the important ones. The names of flowers. The name of the neighbor who waved to him every morning. He said reading the newspaper felt like looking at blurry glass. He still did the crossword puzzle every day. But now he found himself skipping clues he once would have solved in seconds. His wife, Martha, had noticed it too. He repeats himself, she told me later, and sometimes he gets quiet. It's like the thoughts are there, but can't find their way out. He wasn't sick, his heart was steady, his pressure was fine. He walked every morning, but the fog had come slowly, gently, like mist rolling in over a hill, and now it had settled. Harold didn't eat poorly. In fact, he avoided most of the usual suspects: sugar, fried food, packaged snacks. But like many people his age, he had been taught that fat was the enemy. For decades, he'd chosen dry toast over butter, skim milk over whole, and never touched anything oily unless it came from a fish. I told him a little story about walnuts, how they're shaped like tiny brains. How, by pure coincidence, or maybe something more, they carry exactly the kind of fats the brain seems to love. Not heavy, greasy fats, but gentle ones, the kind that make things inside the head run smoother. I asked him to do something small. No pills, no therapy, no big lifestyle shift, just this. Every morning before anything else, eat 4 walnut halves, not a big handful, just for he agreed. Not because he believed it would work, but because he trusted routine. He liked doing things one at a time, the same way, every day. 3 weeks passed. I didn't expect anything dramatic, but when Harold returned, he came in holding a folded piece of newspaper. It was the Wednesday crossword, neatly filled out in black ink. He placed it on my desk and said, without smiling, "Missed one." Threw me off. 4 letters for Swift Breeze. I wrote Gust, but it was Zeph still. Not bad. There was no miracle. He didn't claim to feel like a teenager again, but he said the fog had lifted just a little. Enough that he remembered his neighbor's name. Enough that he told Martha a story from his childhood she hadn't heard before. It was the kind of change that comes quietly, not like thunder, more like birdsong, something you notice only when you pause. What people often forget is that the body doesn't ask for grand things. It asks for consistency, for little gifts, offered daily, a few nuts, a short walk. A moment of calm. Harold kept eating his 4 walnut halves every morning, sometimes with tea, sometimes with oatmeal. He liked the sound they made in the bowl, a soft rattle like pebbles in a stream. Said it reminded him of camping trips as a boy. And over time, things didn't just stop getting worse. Some things got better. He started telling more stories. Remembered the punchlines to old jokes, got more clues right in the puzzle. He never bragged about it, but Martha did. There was something steady in that little ritual. For walnut halves. Each morning, like flipping on a light switch in the mind. I thought about that later, and wondered how many other people walked through their days with the switch half off. Not because of age, but because no one told them that something so small could matter. It wasn't just about the walnuts. It was about the idea that you could begin again, even at 79, that a little care, repeated daily, could polish the mind like silver. Harold still comes in once a month. He still wears the vest. The pocket watch still doesn't tick, but he laughs. More now, he tells stories without pausing, and every time he leaves, he hands me the week's crossword, folded and finished. He says he just wants to prove the lights are still on. You learn to notice things the older you get. Not the big, loud things, not fireworks or announcements. The quiet things, like how your fingers feel when they wrap around a teacup, or how your knees hum softly before it rains, or how food sits in your belly, heavy, light, helpful, or not. I started noticing these things after I turned 75. Not because someone told me to, just because everything gets quieter in the body. And in the quiet, you start to hear what it's been saying all along. There was a time when I didn't pay much attention to food. I ate what I was used to. Toast in the morning, soup at lunch, something simple at night. But I never really thought about what that food was giving me or taking from me. Then came the little signs. A jar that wouldn't open. A coat button that took longer to fasten. My hands not hurting exactly, just less willing. My joints were tired, like they'd worked a long shift and were asking for rest. But I wasn't ready to rest. Not in that way. One morning, I opened my cupboard and saw a jar of almonds I'd bought months before and never touched. I don't know why. I took them out that day. Maybe I liked how they looked in the sunlight. Pale, smooth, simple. I poured a few into my hand. 10, I think. They made a soft little sound like stones on a riverbed. I chewed slowly. No salt, no sugar. Just the quiet taste of something whole. Nothing happened that day, or the day after. But I liked the feeling. I liked how I didn't feel. As hollow mid-morning, how the tightness in my fingers didn't seem as sharp. So I did it again, and again, until it became my new rhythm. Now, every morning before I start the day, I count out 10 almonds. I place them on a little saucer beside my tea. Some mornings I soak them the night before. They get softer that way, gentler on my teeth. Some mornings I toast them just for a minute or two until they smell warm and familiar. It's not a diet, it's not a trick, it's just something I do. A small act of care, and something is changed. My hands still feel their age, but they don't ache the same. My shoulders don't slump as soon as the afternoon comes. My stomach feels calmer, less bloated, less heavy. My steps feel steadier, like my body knows I've given it something it understands. Almonds, I've come to believe, are a kind food. They ask very little, and they give something back, not in a loud way, but in a quiet, trustworthy one. There's also something sacred in the way I eat them now, a kind of respect. I don't just grab a handful. While walking around the kitchen, I sit, I breathe, I chew. I think that matters, because in this world, we're always rushing. Even now, even at our age, we're told to hurry, to fix things, to keep up. But what if the best thing we can do is slow down? What if 10 almonds eaten slowly with morning light on the table could do more than all the vitamins in the cabinet? I can't explain it with science. I just know how I feel. And I've learned that how you feel, not just your pain, but your peace, is worth listening to. That's why I keep the almonds by the window, in a clear jar, so the light can find them in the morning. So I don't. Forget it's funny. I used to think strength came from pushing through, lifting, enduring, saying nothing. But now, I think strength is also this: choosing something gentle every day, without needing a reason. So, I eat my almonds, I count them, I chew slowly, and the day begins softer than before. That, to me, is healing. The sun comes in through the east window, soft and golden. It lands on the table where the kettle lets out a tired little sigh. The water is almost ready. Outside, the birds are busy. Nothing unusual, just their usual chatter. Inside, it's quiet. The kind of quiet you don't notice until you've lived long enough to enjoy it. A plate waits on the table, and a little bowl with 7 hazelnuts in it. Not for taste, not for a recipe, just because that's what the body has come to expect now. A few hazelnuts every morning without fail. They sit in the bowl like old friends, round, smooth, comforting. This started months ago without a big decision. Just a moment in a store, a bag of hazelnuts on a shelf. Something about them felt steady, and now they're part of the rhythm. Not because someone said they were good, but because they feel right. There's something about hazelnuts, not as oily as others, not bitter, not flashy. They carry a quiet energy, a kind of fuel that doesn't spike or crash. They don't promise excitement. They promise stability. After breakfast, the usual walk begins, just to the end of the street and back. The knees complain a little, but not like before. The ankles feel stronger. The steps feel less wobbly. Breathing is easier too, not because of the weather, not because of any miracle, just a collection of small changes, lighter meals, better sleep, and somewhere in the mix, those daily hazelnuts lunch comes and goes. A simple soup, maybe a soft apple, a book in the afternoon, and tea again around 4. Sometimes there's another hazelnut, just one, for the quiet pleasure of it. That's the thing people forget. Food isn't just fuel, it's rhythm, memory. Comfort hazelnuts, especially, bring a strange kind of comfort. They don't make bold claims, but they sit gently in the stomach. They help keep the heart steady, not racing, not sinking, just steady. That matters more with age than anything else. There's no big speech to be made about them, no need to count grams or track calories. It's not about numbers anymore. It's about how you feel at 3 p.m., how you rise from your chair, how you sleep at night. It's about not being afraid when your heart skips, or when your legs take a little longer to move. It's about trusting the little things to help you feel more like yourself. And hazelnuts, in their own quiet way, help, not by changing everything, just by supporting what's already good in you. The day passes like any other. A bit of radio, a phone call from a niece, a bit of light cleaning, and later a warm bath, and before sleep, maybe another hazelnut, not for hunger, not for health, just because it's become part of who you are now, a small, thoughtful gesture. To the body you've lived in all these years, no one claps for it, no one posts about it, but your body remembers, and in the morning, you'll do it again. Not because it fixes everything, but because it's one small thing you can count on. Sometimes, one small thing is enough. You start to notice the small things once your days grow quieter. The way the floor creaks differently depending on the weather. How tea tastes better when you drink it. Slowly, with 2 hands wrapped around the cup, the light that changes on your kitchen wall around 4 in the afternoon, there was a time when all of that flew past me. I was younger, distracted, moving from one thing to the next. The world was louder. My own thoughts were faster. Food was just food, something to chew, swallow, and forget. Now, things have slowed, and because things have slowed, I finally have space to ask myself, what do I really need today? Not in the big sense. Not what is the meaning of my life or how do I stay young. Just, what does my body need to feel okay right now? Lately, the answer has been something simple. Not soup, not sweets, not coffee, not bread, just cashews. It started as a curiosity, a small bag I picked up at the store, almost by accident. They looked soft, pale, curved, like little commas, like pauses. And isn't that what I need more of? Not more activity, but more pause. I brought them home and poured a few into a small glass bowl, set them near the kettle, didn't think much of it. Then, one chilly afternoon, the kind where you don't want to do anything but stare out the window and feel a bit sorry for yourself, I picked up a few 5, maybe 6. No salt, no glaze. No glaze, no tricks, just plain cashews. They were smooth, gentle. I expected them to be bland, but they weren't. There was something buttery in them, something calm. And after I ate them, I just sat. No big epiphany, no bolt of energy, just a softness. My hands unclenched. My breath deepened. That night, I slept easier, and the next day, I did it again. Now it's a ritual. 6 cashews. At 3 p.m., right when the day begins to stretch and the hours grow a bit tired, right when the mind tends to wander into useless worries, did I turn off the stove? Was I rude on the phone? Is this loneliness or just silence? The cashews help. They don't solve anything, but they make the space around the worry feel bigger, softer, easier to walk through. It's hard to describe unless you've lived it. When you're young, food feels like fuel, something to burn, something to get you through. But when you're older, food becomes memory. It becomes rhythm. It becomes the difference between feeling shaky and feeling steady, and cashews, of all things, became that difference for me. I tried other things: crackers, bananas, rice cakes, toast. They filled the belly, but not the body. Cashews, though they gave me something deeper, not just fullness, but balance. There's something in them that calms the heart, in a way I don't understand, but deeply feel. After 6 cashews, I don't want to nap. I don't want to rush. I just feel like myself again. Clearer, slower. Present, it's the kind of peace you can only notice when the rest of the world quiets down. They're also kind to the mouth. My teeth aren't what they used to be, but cashews are soft enough. They don't fight back. They crumble gently, like good conversation. And if I don't feel like chewing, I soak them overnight, just in a glass of water on the WINDOWSILL. In the morning, they're tender like fruit. Sometimes I mash them with a spoon and mix them into porridge. Sometimes I eat them plain, one by one, with tea. Sometimes I just hold them in my hand for a minute before eating. I like the cool smoothness of them. They remind me of river stones. I keep a bowl of them by the kettle now, not for hunger, but for the hour when the shadows start to lengthen, and the body asks for something grounding. 6 cashews, no more, no less. If I eat more, I feel sleepy. If I eat fewer, it's not enough. There's something perfect about 6. It's a quiet number, like footsteps on carpet, like the sound of a page turning. Some days, I skip them. Not often, but when I do, I feel it. Not in my stomach, in my spirit. I feel more easily annoyed, more distracted. It's like my heart is a little more fragile. But when I remember, when I sit down and take the time to eat them properly, I feel the steadiness come back. Cashews don't change your life. They don't take away grief. They don't make you young again. But they help you stay upright. They help you meet the day with a little more kindness in your bones. And these days, that's enough. Now that we've come to the end of this journey, I want to take a moment and speak to you directly. You've listened carefully. You've taken in a lot of quiet wisdom. And I know it's not always easy to change habits, especially when they've been with us for decades. But it is possible, gently. One small step at a time. Today we spoke about 4 nuts that can make a difference. Not because they're trendy, not because they promise miracles, but because they support your body where it matters most, in your heart, to bring calm and comfort, especially to the heart. Cashews to ease the nervous system and help with emotional balance. These are simple foods, but when eaten regularly and with care, they can support you in ways that medications sometimes cannot, and now may carry hidden salts and sugars. Some may be roasted in heavy oils that the aging body finds. 2. Oily macadamia nuts, very high in fat, peanuts, especially salted or flavored, which can inflame the joints and raise blood pressure, and prepackaged nut mixes, which frequently contain added sugars, salts, and preservatives. Have every right to nourish yourself in a way that is simple, steady, and gentle. And if you feel overwhelmed, remember, you do not have to change everything. Begin with one thing, one new choice. Perhaps tomorrow morning, you place a few almonds in a small bowl. Perhaps the next day, you try a walnut or 2 with your tea. That's how real health begins, not through extremes, but through quiet, thoughtful repetition. I want you to remember something. It is never too late to begin caring for yourself differently. Your body has not given up on you, and neither should you. Be kind to yourself. Choose foods that return kindness to you in return. And trust your own instincts. Your body often knows more than we think. Before I go, I want to say thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for your attention, your care, and your willingness to learn something new, not for someone else, but for yourself. If this video helped you, if you learned even one thing, I invite you to leave a comment. Tell us your age and where you're watching from. I read every word. Together, we are building a community of wisdom, of quiet strength, of people who still believe in taking care of each other. This is Seniors Vitality Hub, and I am honored to have shared this space with you today. Until next time, stay well, stay steady, and never stop taking gentle care of yourself. Thank you for watching.